I'm Michelle Gauthier, and you're listening to the Overwhelmed Working Woman podcast. Thank you for joining Overwhelmed Working Woman. Today, I have a fun guest for us, my friend Laura Sawyier. She is a stylist, and she is also from St. Louis, as I am. And we had two different friends introduce us and say we needed to meet each other. So we took that to mean, yes, we're supposed to be friends. And once I met her, I was like, I love her. I love what she has to say. I love what she's doing in St. Louis. And I really wanted to have her on the podcast for everybody, all the overwhelmed working women out there, because I feel like it's so important for us to feel good about how we look and how we dress, but yet we have the conflict of not having a ton of time. So she's going to give us some tips, and we're just going to hear all about what she does and what she recommends. She works with her clients one-on-one, and she also does speaking engagements on confidence, executive presence, authentic presence, all kinds of things. So at the end, she's going to tell us about how you can work with her. She does do virtual stuff as well as in person, and where you can follow her. So that was a long intro. Hi, Laura. Now you can speak. Sorry, that was pretty long.
Thanks for the great intro. And the feeling is mutual. I think, for anyone that has been in St. Louis or lives here knows that it can be a small town sometimes. And so it was great when we were introduced and then ran into each other in person and met. Yes. And so here we are now, having had a few conversations about the work that you do with your clients and how there are a lot of correlations with the work that I do as a wardrobe stylist and as a speaker around this topic. So thanks for having me.
Yes. I'm glad you said wardrobe stylist. I should have said that because I just met someone the other day who was a stylist for events. So I guess you can be stylist for lots of things, but you're specifically wardrobe.
Yes.
All right. So everybody who's listening considers themselves to be an overwhelmed working woman, at least at some point. So I think the biggest question is, why does it matter what we wear? Like how does it affect our lives? And if we're trying to just cut out things to worry about, why not just cut that out? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, clothing affects how we feel about ourselves, and it's a reflection of who we are. And, I'll speak to, as a result of the last few years in particular, and, being in situations where people are either working from home or they're in hybrid situations, it really, really got people thinking a lot about how they feel when they get dressed every day. And so that has been sort of a very quick learning experience that I have been focused on for years, even before the pandemic. And now we're coming out of it, and people are really beginning to understand that what you put on your body, how you get dressed, how you, maybe style your hair, what your beauty or grooming routine is, really provides significant value in terms of, one, how you see yourself, two, how you show up in your work and in your life and in your relationships. And that has a lot to do with, your behaviors and your motivations, and just physically and mentally being present. And so it's more than just what's on your body. It's really about how you feel about it and how you represent yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's almost like what you put on your body, it helps you think differently about yourself. So it helps you have more confidence or more, I don't know what.
The list goes on. Confidence, yes. Presence, it helps you do a little bit of self-discovery too. I promise I won't go super geeky on the science part of all this too, which is part of how I approach my work as an individual stylist, and also from a speaking and writing perspective, which is through the applied psychology of fashion. But there is research that points to how what you wear can affect your behaviors, your moods, your motivations, how you show up in your relationships with others, your relationship to yourself, how you're talking to yourself when you get dressed every day. So it really is an area with significant value.
Yeah, that makes so much sense to me. Even when I had a corporate job, I worked from home, I would say since about 2000, I've been working from home. So for a really long time. And people would ask me all the time, like long before the pandemic, so do you just like work in your pajamas all day? And I never did, because I never felt good. I felt like I need to take a shower, and I don't always have to like fix my hair perfectly or put on makeup, but like put on something decent that I feel comfortable in. I can tell for sure it makes a huge difference to me.
It does. And it establishes delineation in your day, which is a really real thing that people can use through clothing I'm hesitant to use, getting dressed and having a personal style as something that's easy because it's not easy to a lot of people. But making that change, in the morning or in the evening, then really signals to your brain it's time to shift from one thing to the next. And so, I've written and I talk about it a lot in terms of, you wake up in the morning, you've got your pajamas on, and then as soon as, you're awake and maybe you have a household with, kids or parents that you're caring for, other family members or animals, and you've just got all these things that are all of a sudden coming at you at once, and you need to get moving and get dressed, and getting dressed for the day sets the tone. And, it's the same thing at the end of the day. You come home, from work, or you're at home already and working from home, change back into something that really signals it's time to turn off or turn down, perhaps, because not all of us are able to turn off the work, as soon as a certain time happens in the evening. But it starts to signal to the brain, really just it's time to shift from one thing to the next thing and get into that cycle.
I love that so much. All geeky, sciencey points are welcome. I love that.
Great.
I love it.
There's more. So buckle up.
Okay, good. I do think that's true though, because one of the things that I work with my clients on is the idea that in this modern world where a lot of people do work at home and sometimes are even parenting at the same time as they're working, there's just this big mishmash of what your day is. And so I love the idea of signaling to yourself and your brain, now this is work time. And it's not that you can't step out of your office and, get yourself lunch in your kitchen or something, but like, these are my work hours. I think that's really helpful because what I find is when people live like that, they feel overwhelmed all the time because there's not a specific time for anything.
Right. And I think what's important to, share with listeners and the people that you work with and I work with and really everybody is that it's not going from one extreme to another either. It's actually fairly attainable, right? And so if you are in a position where you're working from home and perhaps, you are on video, you're on calls where you need to show up, it's still a thing where you can have a Zoom top on. There's nothing wrong with putting on some soft pants, which I like to call them, which could be a varying degree of, a pair of fitted yoga pants or a jogger, or a pull-on pant that is a little bit more, sort of polished, if you will, that you could get away with wearing with a nice pair of boots or a sweater and get dressed that way. But it's just like, get out of your pajamas, get out of your sleeping clothes, your workout clothes, if you can. And it's just those small things. And, there are days in fairness where people ask me, they're like, do you get dressed, get really dressed up all day? Is your hair always done? Do you have makeup on? Are you, always in something really polished and put together? And, I would be doing others a disservice if I was like, yeah, of course I'm always done up. But the reality is that it takes a lot of time. It takes time to blow dry your hair. It takes time to get dressed. But when you can, spend a little bit of time just, setting yourself up for success in some of these areas, I think it can pay pretty significant dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I see clients on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So basically not on Tuesday have been an easier way to say that. And I find that on Tuesdays, I do still take a shower and I get dressed, but it's in much more comfortable clothes and I don't put makeup on. And I wouldn't, for example, blow dry my hair. It's just kind of my at-home work day. And I've noticed that signals to my brain, okay, we're going to be doing a lot of writing today. Or maybe I'm recording a podcast or whatever. And it's nice to have a day off, so to speak, where I don't have to get completely Zoom ready, ready to look my clients in the eye.
And that's the reality. And you're already creating that, delineation. And this is what Tuesday means to me. And I can still be productive, but it allows me to not have to spend time doing some of these other things where you still feel good about yourself, but you're being efficient because, we all need that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so one of the things that we've talked about on this podcast before is the idea that clutter in your closet or your kitchen or wherever equals clutter in your brain. And we talk a lot about trying to reduce the number of decisions that we make in a day because a lot of the listeners and me and you are women who have big jobs, are managing other things in life as well, like families, et cetera. And then they don't want to have to make so many decisions. And sometimes that falls into I don't want to have to decide about what to give away or to clean out my closet. So tell us why it's worthwhile to do that and how you help people. I'm so intrigued by your job. I'd love to know how you help people pare down their closet to be things where they can I'm just picturing that your clients, when you're finished with them, they just walk in and they're like, oh, I could put on anything in here and I would feel good today. Is that true?
It is true. It's definitely very cathartic for people after the fact is what they say. And it's a nice sigh of relief. I'll point out firstly that physical and mental real estate is a really real thing, and decision fatigue is as well. And so this is a huge area of my business. When I establish working with someone for the first time, before we get into shopping and styling extensively, it's really about removing what is not serving you at all anymore. And so, people will be all excited or not when they call me, but they have enough, sort of spirit with them then to say, I'm calling you because I'm interested in having some help. Where do we begin? And the first thing is we need to clean up your space and we need to get rid of the noise. And so from a new client perspective, we walk into your closet and we begin to go through item by item, rack by rack, shelf by shelf, drawer by drawer, and start to talk through fairly efficiently. And not to overwhelm anybody about this process, there's a sweet spot in my work that I've learned that usually it takes about 2 hours for people. I don't know what everybody's closet looks like on the inside, but it's usually a sweet spot of time that we can get through things very efficiently. And we talk about it. I shared before, I approach my work through the lens of the applied psychology of fashion. And so I am not a therapist. I do not have those designations, but I would say to a certain degree, there is some therapizing that's going on during these sessions.
I would bet.
Which I know you can relate to.
Yes, absolutely. Like, why don't you want to let go of these jeans that fit you when you were 19 years old?
Absolutely. Or when was the last time you wore this? What does this mean to you? Or the reality is that, people are holding on to things because they really do hold a significant moment or person or time in their life. And it's worth doing some discovery on that with them, because sometimes it's necessary that we hold on to those things. But to really think about how to pare down, it's all about getting rid of the noise. Because if you have the physical real estate in front of you, say when you walk into your closet and you go to get dressed for the day, and most of the things you look at and pull out, you're just like, I don't like this. This doesn't fit me. This isn't working. It's going to create and take up a lot of mental real estate for you. And you're not going to find the answer that you want. And that sets the tone for the day.
Yeah. Starts off being annoying and like having to make a decision where you don't like any of the options. So what are some of the items that you see a lot of times when you do that closet clean out? Like, what are you getting rid of just in general?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, everyone is fairly different, and I work with a lot of different people with, age and physique and lifestyle. And so everyone has something different, but people hold on to things with holes in them or don't even realize that there are holes in their clothing. And I find that actually most often is that I hold something up and it's either a hole or a stain, I would say too. And I'm like, do you see this on here? And they're like, no, I've never noticed that before. And so we're doing some closer inspection. And, we want to make sure that, we as in myself and when I'm working with a client that, we're looking at everything to make sure that it's modern and it looks good. And you're not discovering that hole or stain, all of a sudden at 4 p.m. when you're walking out the door to go meet someone for a coffee or have a meeting or presentation.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I can't imagine the weight that comes off their shoulders when their closet gets down to bare bones, even before they start shopping with you for new things, just to be like, okay, I've gotten rid of that.
Right. I would add really quick to that too, Michelle, that, people that I work with, a really common theme is how surprised many are in terms of what remains in their closet and what kinds of outfits that we put together. So during this initial edit that I do with clients, we are going through everything, but simultaneously, I'm also styling a few looks together and asking you to put things on your body together that maybe you haven't before. And so we talk about that and how you feel when you try it on. And we walk away, where after this session has happened and you tend to have a few new outfits with things that you've already owned before. And I think that surprises most people is that, you have a lot of these things in your closet already. It's just what's the fresh new perspective and, not being afraid to try it.
Yeah, that's amazing. You've saved them money already just by helping them restyle what they've got. I mean, if I think about the things in my closet, if I have a sweater, for example, there's probably like two things that I might wear it with. I don't look in there and think, well, how could I restyle this with something modern? What if I put it with this skirt or whatever? I just don't think like that. So that's amazing that you can bring that perspective as well. One of the things when we first met, I was asking you about style, and you said something to me that was really profound. And it's that people sometimes are afraid that you're going to make them too stylish. So it sounds like your goal isn't necessarily making them stylish, cover of a magazine stylish, but like, what are you really going for when you're helping your people?
Making sure that you are expressing yourself as you are within context of your lifestyle, your physique, and your budget, and making sure that you look modern while considering all of those things. And I'd say lastly that it's not as complicated as we make it out to be. And what I mean by that is sometimes all it takes is the right fit and the right items, I'll call them ingredients, making sure you have the right, jean, and making sure that you have the right blouse and they fit, and showing you what shoe and maybe a pair of earrings to put together with it. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated or over fussy. And a lot of, if not most of the people that I work with, I work with women and men as well, but will say to me, I don't want to look like I walked out of a store and I bought all the things that I was told to buy that go, the top goes with the pant. And like, it's not, I say overly styled, or we say overly fashionable. And most people want to look put together and polished. And my job is to help you elevate yourself within, like I said, body, lifestyle, and budget.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like such a fun job. What are some of the results that your clients have gotten when they finish working with you?
I have this virtual closet that everyone gets when I work with them. So that's the physical product that comes out of the work that we do together, which is hugely valuable for people. It's not my proprietary app. It's built for people that do the work that I do so that I can better service and more efficiently service my clients. So many people are so visual, and a big struggle is, well, I don't, you told me to wear this with, this top with those pair of jeans, or put this shoe together with these 3 different dresses, and I can't remember. And so I take that sort of remembering or guesswork out of it for you through this virtual physical product. And, to paint a picture, it's a web-based platform that you can bookmark on your phone or your iPad or your, tablet or computer. And there are 3 sections to it. One of them is the closet, and that is what it sounds like. And I, again, in this initial edit that I do with clients, we're taking photos of the items that are remaining, and they're getting uploaded into this. And I build it out based on the section. So you're going to have a shoe section, you're going to have a bag section, a jewelry section, tops, sweaters, suiting. The list goes on, whatever is applicable to what's in your specific wardrobe collection. And then you're going to have this really great lookbook section. And that is this sort of just amazing, wonderful space that people, open up their phone in the morning, or if they have an event coming up or they're going on a trip and they're getting ready to pack, they open, and I've personalized their looks for them based on what is existing in their closet. And then I can incorporate new shopping purchases from Amazon to Nordstrom and everywhere else in between, so that it also shows people not just how to get dressed, visually with groupings of all the items that go together with my commentary, but also suggestions on new purchases for them so that they can be really, really intentional with what it is that, you are bringing into your wardrobe in the future. I'm not a stylist who's like, let's go out and buy all these things, because that's not serving you. We're just going to put you back in the situation that you were in before you called me. And so it's really about being intentional with people. So that's the physical takeaway. The emotional and mental takeaway that I hear all the time is feeling confident, is feeling at ease, is feeling efficiency. There's just it's almost priceless to be able to get dressed when you need to get dressed and feel like you're making the right decision. You feel really great about yourself. And you know that what you're wearing is serving you whenever you walk into the physical or virtual room that you're walking into next.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Priceless. Totally priceless. I have to say this because I meant to say it, but I didn't want to interrupt you. I love how I'm on Laura's email list and she has a great newsletter. So we'll link to that for sure. So you can sign up for her newsletter. But on Black Friday, or maybe the day before, when we were getting all these ads of sales and things, I love that your newsletter was like, do not buy things if it is not on your list of things that you are looking for. If there's something that you know that you need and it happens to be on sale and today's the day to buy it, fine, but don't just go out there and spend a bunch of money. And I was like, I love that is the opposite perspective you would think from somebody who's a wardrobe stylist, like, get all these things and you're so intentional about it. So I love that.
Thank you. We as human beings are so influenced by each other. And all of a sudden, marketing does what marketing is supposed to do, as does advertising. And there are moments where it's important, that we have the reminders, particularly for overwhelmed and really busy working women. There's a lot of noise coming at us all the time. And, it was one of those moments that I felt like this is a lot, for me as an entrepreneur and a working woman. I was like, this is a lot. And I can only imagine how other people are feeling right now. And so let's just pause and pump the brakes a little bit and don't feel in this moment where it's so easy to be, and not in a bad way, tempted by reductions. I mean, we also in our culture in America, we love a sale. It was definitely a pointed, moment for me to say to people, just worth considering. Don't fall into this, focus on the other things that you need to get done right now.
Yeah, I love that. That was great advice. And I definitely recommend following her newsletter and getting that email. So tell us about working with you. What is sort of the minimum thing that you do if somebody wanted to engage with you in a small way? And then just for fun, if somebody's out there and they want to do a complete and total overhaul and have you as their, and I guess you can't be their full-time stylist, but
as their person.
Yes, as their person. What does that look like? Just give us the smallest and the largest option.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And all of it applies. And I work with people at both of these capacities and everything in between. So, a way to begin to work with me is either in person or virtually. It's the same process. We have, an initial call that I set up with people. It's 20 minutes on Zoom so we can both get to know one another. And this is in both cases for any client. I have you complete a pretty extensive questionnaire that's everything from what is your shoe size to what parts of your body do you find yourself covering or wanting to accentuate, and what are your personal and professional goals, short and long term. And so it's really comprehensive in that way, and it's meant to be thoughtful. But the small package, I would say, is that we do the initial virtual closet edit or in-person edit, and that's the 2 hours. And what you'll get out of that is then, your page on this platform that I've shared, as well as probably about 5, 6, 7 outfits for you to start to put into effect right away. And that's the initial. It's focused on let's get rid of the noise. Let's start to see what you have existing and maximize what's in your closet and get you comfortable and familiar in that space and reduce, all the things that aren't serving you anymore. And then if we go to the other side of the spectrum on my services, I, like I said, do the upfront with everybody, which is the edit. And then from there, whether, I am based in St. Louis and then I'm in New York City every about 7 weeks and I'm servicing clients there, but I work with people all over, everywhere. There is no limitation to that. And so some clients I work with virtually, but then, if you're not in St. Louis and you're not in New York City or that metro area, I will fly in for clients. There are fees obviously associated with that, but I will go anywhere as long as we have, some scheduling time available to us. And we do shopping. Most of it I do virtually for people. There's just so much more efficiency when it comes to online shopping. And I work with tons of retailers and have partnerships, for instance, like with Saks and Bergdorf Goodman and Neiman Marcus and various others, where I can get items in for clients as well. And we do shopping. I put together lookbooks. I have clients who have lookbooks that are these virtual lookbooks that I shared on this platform, that are within a certain season, we'll say of spring, summer, or fall, winter. And they have upwards of 100 outfits for each. And that is, 3+ months of, daily outfits that they can get dressed in. And then there are aspects of that where I also dress people for special events. And that could be, you are getting married, or you're going to a wedding, or, you maybe have a child who's getting married and you're the parent of them, or you have a fundraising event that you're going to, or a cocktail party. I also do travel itineraries and lookbooks for people. So anyone that's traveling, they send me their schedule or their travel itinerary, and they'll get the equivalent of that in clothing that they need for them. And I'll say lastly, from a packing perspective, I do have people that bring me into their home and their closets, and I do pack for them physically as well.
Oh my goodness!
So I have yeah. So that's the spectrum, and then everything else in between, and all of it is valuable and meaningful.
That is the dream. I'll take that latter package. That sounds amazing. Oh my gosh. I just went on a trip myself where I had to do a whole bunch of different things. Like there was a casual dinner, then I had to be dressy for something. Then there was going to be like a, sporty workout thing. So I can't imagine having you be like, here's this, and this.
Yeah, I will say that it was last summer. I packed for a client and she was going to Europe for 2 weeks. And she was like, I only want to pack in a carry-on. And we needed to pack her to go skiing in Switzerland and then go to Rome. And they were high temperatures. And she needed to be able to have clothing for both environments.
Oh, wow.
And she did it all in a carry-on for 2 weeks. She was very, very happy during and when she got home.
Oh my gosh, I'm so impressed. You must be a very good folder as well.
There are different techniques. I have tips for everybody in a lot of areas, but packing is depending on the item, depending on the piece of luggage, but there are some good general rules.
Yes. You should, if you haven't already, put that in your newsletter.
Yes.
Everybody needs that. I talk about packing too, just from the decision-making perspective. Like people will say, I have to bring a bunch of stuff because I don't know what I'm going to wear. I'm like, you're just delaying the decision. Just decide ahead of time and then don't take all the stuff with you.
Right. I mean, it's like procrastination at its finest, and that's no fault to anybody, but it just shows up that way.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh. Okay. This has been so fun and so awesome. I love hearing about your work. It sounds like such a great time. And I think everyone could benefit from that 2-hour edit from you. I'm sure there's so much gold in people's closets that they don't even know about. So thank you for sharing with us. Where should people go if they want to follow you or sign up for your newsletter or do that intro session? Where should they go?
If people want to find me, they can go to one of 3 places. The first is my website, which is lauraksawyier.com. And my last name is spelled Sawyier. And then on Instagram, I have 2 accounts. One is at Laura K. Sawyer, and the other one is at Sawyer Style. And that one mostly has shopping and styling recommendations. My account is all of the above and some personal things that I'm comfortable sharing publicly. And then lastly is my newsletter, which you have mentioned. Thank you. And that is called Style and Substance. And it's at stylesubstance.substack.com. That's a lot of S's.
Okay. Whew, that's a mouthful, but we'll put it in the show notes so people can just click on it. That'll make it so much easier.
Great.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. If you had to give just one piece of advice to an overwhelmed working woman with regards to her style or anything in the realm of what you do, what would your just number one little thing be?
Document photos of what you're wearing each time you wear them.
Interesting. Okay. And how does that help us?
Because it allows you very quickly and very efficiently to catalog for yourself what you put on your body and what's working for you. And this is for anybody who works with me or doesn't work with me. This is for everyone. And so when you get dressed and you say, walk out the door and you are working or you're out, doing what you need to during the day and the evening, and you happen to either one, notice that people are responding to you and they're saying really nice complimentary things about how you're showing up, or two, you feel like you rocked whatever meeting, presentation, parenting moment, whatever thing you did, and you're feeling great about what you have on, that is a noteworthy outfit that you're wearing. And we all have our devices in our pocket or our bags. And if you take a quick photo of yourself, if you're looking in a full length mirror, if possible, but just take a photo of yourself and store it in an album on your phone and save it for later. Because when you are having one of those moments where you need to get dressed and ready, whether in the morning or later in the day for something in the evening, you are already establishing what I call a lookbook for yourself that you can reference without having to think about it.
I love it. That's such a great tip. I would not have thought about that at all. I'll do it. I'll take your advice from this day forward. Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on.
It's been a pleasure, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Overwhelmed Working Woman podcast. If you want to learn more about my work, head over to my website at michellegothier.com. See you next week.